Hi folks, Deacon Alex here, St. Francis of Assisi. I'm here in Gubbio's, and normally by this time of the day, I'd be on my second cup of coffee. Well, who am I kidding? My third cup of coffee from Gubbio's right here. But unfortunately, as many of you know, last week we had an incident with a ruptured pipe as part of the fire suppression system, and it took place actually behind this wall in Gubbio's, and so Gubbio's and most of the Parish Center was greatly affected. I know many of you are familiar with the repairs we had earlier this summer. This has nothing to do with that issue. That issue was with the main water line. What happened last week was with the fire suppression system. Now the good news is that the fire suppression system is now up and running. In other words, the pipe has been repaired. And the other blessing is the time of the day that this took place. All of us were here busily working. Our facilities crew, within 6 minutes of the pipe erupting, had all of the water shut off. However, even with just a short window of time for the water to be rushing out, we were still looking at 3 inches of water here in Gubbio's, in the Great Hall A and B and C, and throughout the entire hallway and most of the staff area as well. So the other thing that we've been looking at is, unfortunately, as much as we would love to have a preventative maintenance plan to make sure that that pipe doesn't rupture, unfortunately, it's just not possible. So we do the very best that we can to pivot. And at the time of the pipe rupture, I had the blessing of sitting down with Father Rudy and Father Alex, our new parochial vicar, and many of our faith formation staff. And we were talking about all the amazing things that are taking place here at St. Francis of Assisi, and how we are doing such a wonderful job of being on mission. You know, our mission here at St. Francis is Matthew 28. It's the Great Commission. It's the last 4 verses of Matthew's Gospel, where Jesus calls everybody to worship, he teaches them, and then he sends them out to bring his word of peace, of joy, of healing to the world. And we were just talking about that mission and how much it's really being embraced by our youth of today. And then at that very moment, the pipe ruptured. And Father Rudy turned to us and he said, you know what? This is unfortunate and this is very inconvenient, but we should also recognize what's happening here, that of all the great things that we're doing at St. Francis, there is no doubt that the enemy is trying to tear us asunder, and he's trying to throw roadblocks at us to take away all the great things that we're doing as a community. It's sort of a metaphor for life, right? We feel like many times when we're being challenged, we get disappointed, we get frustrated, we get down, but we have to recognize that the harder we try to live our lives by Christ, the more the enemy will try to take that away from us. So I do want to give you just a sample of some of the work that's being done here. If we get the camera to kind of swing around and look at Gubbio's, we already started the demolition of this, of the walls here within 48 hours of the of the rupture. And you see crews here as well working very hard. They've been here really all through since Friday, all through Saturday, through most of Sunday, and this week as well. But you can get a sense for why, unfortunately, at this point, we have to close the Parish Center until all this can be repaired. Number one, it's very loud in here because of all these fans. These fans are not keeping us cool. They are trying to extract as much of the moisture away as possible, so we can mitigate the damage and obviously make sure that we can repair faster and more efficiently. This area, if you don't recognize it, this area is for a lot of our staff. So we have our ministry and safe environment team is here. We have our OCIA and our RICA and our Adult Evangelization Center right here as well. So those folks were sitting here working diligently, and then in the back, in this back room, is where the pipe ruptured and water came everywhere. And so here we are in another part of the staff area. This particular spot is where our faith formation, our K through 12 team sits, and there were staff here when the water came through this area, and one of our staff actually jumped on the desk because it was just literally flooding her. You know, but it's also a reminder of, as odd as this might sound at first, of hope, right? I think of St. John Paul II and his message constantly throughout his pontificate of be not afraid. open the doors wide to Christ. And sometimes when we are facing adversity, when it feels like we keep getting knocked down time and time again, we need to remember that message to be not afraid. And so, yeah, this is an inconvenience. Yeah, it's slows down productivity a little bit. We are trying very hard to get as many of our groups to find other alternatives to meet, whether that's in the church, whether that's in over at St. Gabriel's or other places around town. We're trying to work that out. These are minor inconveniences, yes, I understand that, but we have to keep our eye on the big picture, to be hopeful, to be joyful, and to know that we are here on mission for Jesus Christ.